Welcome to my comeback cook. Those that follow the channel know it's been a year since I probably posted anything, but I'm back. It's been a crazy year, and what kind of a comeback cook to do than the brisket. And this is a brisket that I did for my very first cook. Check out the video link up here. That's way back in June of 2020, and that was from Sherwood Foods. So I thought I'd revisit that brisket. But rather than it being that beginner's brisket, as per that video, don't watch that yet. This is a good video. Click on that one afterwards. This one, we're going to take it to the next level. So taking it to the next level, we're going to make a dry brine. We're going to put it in the fridge. We're going to leave it to brine for 24 hours in the fridge. It's going to take up them salts, that pepper, that little bit of garlic. It's going to infuse the meat with all them flavours. We're then going to smoke it. And then as I've been watching sort of videos, doing my research, the resting time seems to be one of the most important things that comes after, if not the most important thing to do. The dog is just deciding to play with his bowl. The resting time, we're going to try and rest this 10 hours in the oven and see how it turns out at the end. So stick with me, guys. So stick with us, guys. This is going to be a really informative, fun video. So let's start off with our brisket. As you can see, the brisket is fairly well trimmed up already from Sherwood Foods. I mean, I'm going to take a few loose bits off. I'm going to take off the silver skin, and we'll trim up any bits that are hanging off. But I'm not going to go too mad on the trim. It's fairly well trimmed already. So cue the time lapse and I'll get on to trimming. And in comes the dog again. Are you coming in? Right, here's my new biggest fan, Buster's still here, but we've also got now Dave, the new addition of Dave. Stay. Right, brisket's now trimmed up. I've left obviously that decal fat in there. I've trimmed off the flat and the point, left a bit of fat cap on the top, taken the silver skin off and trimmed up the underneath as much as I can. There's my bowl of trimmings. Render that down for beef tallow. I'll grind it up and make sausages, something I'm going to have to do. So for our brisket, we're going to, as I say, dry brine it. It's a quick, simple rub. I've got 2 tablespoons of ground black pepper, 2 tablespoons of coarse ground sea salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic granules, and 1 teaspoon of, I love it, chipotle chili. And in the spirit of my first video, we do the barbecue rub shake. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. The dog is inside at the table. Right. Got me tray. Going to start with the underside. We're going to use some Worcestershire sauce as a smear, just to help the rub stick. I love the smell of Worcestershire sauce. And then I don't want a real thick coat, I don't want it cakey, I just want enough to season that meat. I think that's one thing I've learnt over the years. Sometimes you can have too much of a good thing and too much rub ends up with a real cakey outside, and I want that pureness of the smoke to get into the meat. So it's about enough for the bottom. And we'll flip her back over to the top. More schmear. Could just have some cheese on toast with this. Right. And then back to rubbing up. And there we have it, all rubbed up, ready for 24 hours in the fridge. So I'm going to get this wrapped up in some cling film, I'm going to pop it in the fridge, and we'll see you guys in 24 hours. If you're enjoying the cook, don't forget to hit that like button down there, hit the subscribe button, it helps me grow the channel. I really want to bring the channel up now. Thank you very much. Time to smoke the brisket. So before we get the brisket out, we're going to set up our Fornetto Basso 18-inch smoker. Got the bottom vents open all the way. Got my charcoal pan in, and this cook, and on research that I've been doing, I'm going to put my smoking wood underneath the charcoal. If you want to check out a video of setting up a Fornetto Basso smoker, follow that link above. But for now, let's get to setting up our barbecue. We're going to be using some Weber applewood chunks. I do like that sort of mild fruity flavour, and we're going to set 4 nice pieces down in the bottom of our barbecue, sort of around the centre, but just sort of placing them out slightly just so that they'll slowly smoulder and burn. I've taken my water pan and I filled my water pan with enough charcoal to fill that grate at the bottom, so it's a good sort of a guide to get yourself set up for your first load of charcoal. I'm going to take that real big lump off because I'm going to put that on the top, and we're going to just get that down in the bottom. And then give it a good shufty around. So charcoal in. We're going to take our tumbleweed natural fire lighters, a couple of them in there, and then let's get it lit. And then that large piece of charcoal that I took out, I'm just going to pop over the top of them. Right, we're going to leave that to catch. When it catches, we'll finish assembling the barbecue. The fire's starting to catch down at the bottom, so we're going to finish off assembling our barbecue. So we're going to take out a water pan that's wrapped in tin foil. We're going to take our bottom grill grate. And what I've done today is a bit of a heat sink, is I've wrapped a pizza stone in tin foil, and I'm going to place that onto my grill. It's going to act as a heat deflector but also a heat sink, so it's going to absorb the heat, retain some of the heat, and hopefully help modulate the temperature in the barbecue. Get our top stack on. One clip, 2 clips. We'll get in there. Top grill grate on. And then we're going to pop on our lid. We're going to have the vents, which you can't see, they're on this side. So I'm going to get the vents open all the way and let this now get up to temp, and let's go get the brisket out of the fridge. Right, we've got our lovely brisket set here. That's been brining for 24 hours now, ready to start getting kissed by that charcoal and smoke. I hope she fits. It's really damp and miserable out here today, so hopefully that's going to add to the cooking chambers some nice moisture. It only just sits on the barbecue. I've got my trusty tea towel. I'm going to take our meter probe, new toy, and we're going to stick that into a nice thick bit of the flat and make sure that we go past that safety mark. We'll get the lid on and then we'll set up the meter app. Right, she's in. We've got the meter app open. We're going to set that cook. We're going to go for beef, and we're going to set the internal temp that we're going to shoot for at the minute before wrapping to 165, as you can see, and we're going to start cook. Insert the probe, and it's starting to estimate the cook time now. It's measuring the ambient temperature outside and the meat temperature internal, and it's going to give us the time it's going to take to cook. I'll see you in a couple of hours. We're going to let that smoke for a couple of hours, and then we'll start to spritz it till we get near that 165. See you when it's time for spritzing. Welcome back, guys. It's been around 2 hours now. Temp's been sitting around sort of the 250 Fahrenheit mark. It did take a steady climb up to get there, but it is cold outside. But it's now been rocking for the last hour, at least 250. We're going to take the lid off. Just admire that beautiful mahogany colour. How it's really starting to take that smoke nice and gently. And we're going to give it a spritz. All I've got in this spray bottle is 50% red wine vinegar, works well with beef, and 50% water. And we're going to start to now give the beef a spritz. I'm probably going to come out every sort of half an hour to 3/4 of an hour and just start to work on forming this real nice bark. Get plenty of moisture on it. Set it up. My spray is starting to play up. Right. Plenty of moisture on it. Lid back on. And we'll keep rocking until she gets to that internal temp of around 165, or till the fat starts to render down. One thing I am going to say, meter probe, definitely recommend. I'm getting some fantastic data out of this cook. See you guys when it's time to wrap. What a day. 8.5 hours, and she's finally reached the temp, 165 degrees internal temp. So it's time to take it, and we're going to wrap it in our pink butcher's paper, which I've already folded together and joined to hold all the moisture in. We're going to take some of our spritz, and I'm just going to moisten up that pink butcher's paper. Beautiful. And we're going to use our secret ingredient. I'll come over here. some beef tallow. So I'm going to take a couple of spoons of beef tallow. I'm going to place that down on my butcher's paper. That's going to sit underneath the brisket. Oops. I'm going to take our beautifully mahogany brisket. I'm going to leave that temperature probe in. One of the beauties of a meter probe is it's left in. It's in the meat, no wires. So we can wrap that straight up for when we put it back in the barbecue. I'm going to take this last opportunity to introduce some moisture. And we're going to take a little bit more of that beef tallow. I'm just going to place a couple of pieces of that. And it is going to soften the bark up, I know. So obviously leave comments down below if you feel you need to. But this is all about a flavoursome, moist, really juicy brisket. That's the intention of today's cook. So that feeling of moisture is actually rendered fat. So by introducing some fat into the brisket for this final part of the cook, that's going to give you that real juicy, tender feel in the mouth, you know, when you're eating that. So we're going to take the brisket and we're going to flip. This is the practice for wrapping Christmas presents. Keep it nice and tight. So that's back on the top. I'm just going to fold that, tuck that underneath to protect the meat. So she's wrapped up. Like I said, that probe's inside. We're going to pop it back on the Fornetto smoker. I'm going to take it up to an internal temp of 200 to 204 degrees. 200 to 204 degrees Fahrenheit. I can't get my words out, it is late. And then we'll get to resting it. So see you guys when it's ready to pull again. Morning. Quick update. The brisket reached temperature at 4 o'clock this morning. I didn't do a video, as you can imagine. The neighbours would think I'm crazy climbing around in the garden at 4 o'clock in the morning to make a film of a brisket. So I pulled it, I've wrapped it, and I put it in the cooler. I did say earlier on, Dave, sorry, the dog's having it. I did say earlier on I'd put it in the oven, but I wasn't comfortable with the fluctuation of temperatures in the oven. So I've decided just to wrap it in some tin foil, wrap it in a tea towel, stick it in my cooler. It's been in the cooler for just over 5 hours now. We're going to pull it. I have probed it just to see where we're sitting at, and we're sitting about 140 degrees Fahrenheit internal temp. So hopefully that's still a good temperature to slice. But let's get her out. Oh, there's some juices in the bottom. That's a tea towel, tin foil, and then the butcher's paper underneath. I'll unwrap this and we'll get onto the chopping board. Right, you can see all the juices, they've settled on the top. That was that fat and that moisture that I added to it. But I do think, and I'll give my honest opinion, that this isn't going to be one of my best cooks. It's a little bit dry on the flat. Still, it's got a fairly nice jiggle, and there's still some juices. So I suppose the only way we're going to find out is if we cut this bad boy open with our super slicer and see what's going on inside. Oh, I'm actually quite surprised. That's nice and juicy, still oozing. It's got beautiful smoke ring, and that. Let's definitely go for the money shot here. Look at that, guys. You can see that pure glisten. Oop, get there. Beautiful meat. Let's give her a slice. Beautiful slice of the flat. Holding under its own weight. Pull test. Just pulling apart nicely. And then taste test. Let's go for that beautiful oh, actually, I take it back. This is actually a good cook. Super moist in your mouth. Nice bite to it. And just I'm gonna have to get a slice of the point. Again, nice slice. Oh, pulling apart, tender, juicy. Actually, this is probably the best tasting brisket ever. No, I'm happy with that. I really thought 4 o'clock this morning I was going to be disappointed. 5 hours later, resting it, and resting it is probably the key to all of this. It's turned out a beautiful brisket. You know, we're just having a look at that. Beautiful moisture coming out. The smoke ring and the rendered fat. Oh, I've just stood on the dog. Sorry, dog. We'll, shall we go for a taste test with Dave? Hold on, here we go, look. Here, Dave. Come up, up. Dave, up. He's not going to come here. Come into shot. Hold on. Here you go, Dave. Come say hello to everybody and tell us what you think. Right, I want to conclude this video. To summarise, we did a 24-hour brine. We then took it, we smoked it. It took 8 hours to get up to 165 before we wrapped. We wrapped it. It took another 5 hours to get it up to that sort of 203, 204 internal temp, but I was going for probe tenderness. And then we've wrapped it and rested it for 5 hours. And I would say that's a pretty nice brisket. So it's not a competition brisket, I know, but it's a good eating brisket. I'd like to thank you all for sticking with me on this video. Look out for my future cooks. I am going to try and improve this because, like I say, there is some dry bits at the edge, which I need to improve on. So look out for my next video. Check them out here. There's a subscribe button down here. Please click it, it don't cost you anything and it just helps the channel grow. Have a good one, guys.